I get it. We, in general, when it comes to our mental health, it's something that we've ignored for a very, very long time. And I continue to make these comparisons between physical and the mental so that we can see a picture. Like, for example, we're learning better practices when it comes to eating food. We're realizing and learning that there's a lot of stuff being put in our food that's messing us up, that's leading to physical diseases, that's having an impact on the way that we live. And it's a struggle. Whether it's people struggling with sugar addiction, it's people struggling with caffeine addiction, or eating food that's full of chemicals and poisons that we don't know about. But more and more resources and tools are coming out to help us better manage our physical health. The same thing is happening when it comes to our mental and emotional health. More and more tools and resources are becoming available, particularly for us as Black men, so that we can navigate this stuff, so that we can deal with anger, so that we can deal with depression, so that we can deal with anxiety, that we can deal with the various things that make up our overall general mental health, our overall general emotional health. Again, I'm trying to create this picture of understanding of our health, because it's very, very important. And two, we need to understand the range of what is our responsibility. And one little thing, a big part of that is communication. How we communicate to one another, to ourselves, and to those around us is our responsibility. And that ties into our emotional and mental health. If we are not willing to do the work to better grasp what's going on with inside of us and being in a better position to share that with those around us, we're going to have issues. Even with that communication thing, if we don't take the time to actually emote, if we don't take the time to understand that we can be sad, that we can be happy, that we can be afraid, that we can have all of these different complex emotions and feelings, if we don't do that, we can't manage it well. We can't be fully whole. We are like, I'm trying to find the right words. We're doing a disservice to ourselves. And we're, like I was saying, when you have the two different types of diabetes, because we're not doing the work that we're doing, we are like putting ourselves in type 2 of a mental illness. We're putting ourselves in a position that we're not living well. We're putting ourselves in poor health, dis-ease, illness, when we're not doing the work. But we need to do the work. We need to do the work so that we can be in good general overall health, so that we can ultimately be beneficial for those around us, so that we can ultimately be better for ourselves. And I get it. It's hard. I get it that it's strange and it's foreign, but it's something that needs to be done. And it's something that needs to be addressed. And I'm grateful that there are people who are out there who really are doing the work to equip people. And there are organizations and things who are actually doing the work to equip Black men to be in a better mental and emotional health. And with this platform, I just want to help us manage it better. And a big part of managing it, I think, is identifying things and also checking our thoughts, checking the things that we believe. Because like I just mentioned about becoming more aware of the things that we're eating and that we're consuming, it's the same thing with our mental health. There's certain things that we consume that make us sick. There's some things that we consume that lead to bad behavior, that lead to us not being beneficial, and it jacks us up. And what I mentioned earlier was talking about like the connection between the heart and the mind with our mental and emotional health. To be honest, I really believe that's tied to our soul. In scripture, it talks about people, man in general, being made of 3 parts: spirit, soul, and body. We understand the body part. This is the physical earth. This is what, we're made of earth. Atoms, red, like earth, dust, brown, soil, actually, like earth. Then we understand a little bit the spirit. The spirit can be a little far off, but I think just as kind of strange and foreign sometimes is the soul. But our soul, in my understanding, is where our emotions and our thoughts and our intellect is, and where we make decisions. And so our emotional and mental health ultimately is tied to our soul health. And the thing is, like, again, we are to some degree responsible for the health of our soul. There are things that we have to be mindful of in guarding our soul, and the things that we feed our soul, the things that we let out. That's our responsibility. We are responsible for the things that come into our mind, the things that come into our heart. So if you're listening to music that makes you angry or makes you sad or has a negative impact on you, a level of responsibility to you is to understand that maybe I can't listen to this. Maybe I can't listen to things that are impacting my heart, or I have to be careful of the things that I watch on YouTube. I have to be careful of the articles that I read because they're leading me to believe things that are actually having a negative impact on my mental health. Whether it's, for some people, they can't and they shouldn't watch the news. That's something they're consuming because as much as they watch the news, it leads to anxiety. It leads to depression, which again, it can be a type 1, type 2 situation. Some people, depression just shows up. Doesn't make any sense. It's wild. It's crazy. And it grips them in such a impactful and powerful way. And then there's those, because they're not careful of the things that they consume and the things that they are allowing in, leads them to a place of being depressed. And so, again, I understand this is a touchy situation. This is a touchy topic. But again, I think it's important that as Black men, we need to do the work to manage the health of our soul. We need to do the work to manage the health of our mind and our emotions. And either way, whether we have a type 1 situation or a type 2 situation, it is our responsibility to navigate it. It's our responsibility to get resources, to get help, especially if we are, once it's been shown to us that, yo, your mental health is a thing, or your emotional health is a thing, whether it's a clear understanding of a disease or an illness, or maybe you're just not you're not in good health. You just have poor mental and emotional health. You're not good at communicating. You're like, your thoughts are just always negative or a drag or whatever. We're responsible for that. And the reason why it's such a big responsibility is because that poor health can lead and impact our behavior. So for example, as I mentioned earlier, like if you're smoking a lot, that can impact your lungs, the way you breathe, and say you want to run or exercise. But if your lungs are full of smoke and tar, you're not gonna get that far, or you're gonna have a really hard time running. Or if you're eating a lot of food and it leads to you being in an unhealthy state, being overweight or whatever, it's going to be difficult for you to physically do things. It's the same thing. It's very similar, I should say, to our mental health. If you're not taking care of that, it's going to impact your behavior. It's going to impact your thoughts. It's going to impact how you can emotionally relate to people or just be in the emotional state that you're in. So we have to take responsibility for that on the spectrum, wherever we are, whether we're in, just managing general mental, emotional, soul health, or if we're in a case where this is severe, we got to do the work to get better for ourselves and to get better ultimately, I believe, for our community. So, I don't know, that was just a little bit about mental health, and it matters to me a lot because I understand from my own personal experience and the things that I've seen from the men in my life, our health in general has a huge impact on those around us, and it has a huge impact on how we can live our lives. And it's been for a very long time that we have neglected that, our mental health, our emotional health, because we've been taught to do that a lot of times by society and by the culture that we're in. And it's broken up homes. It's led people to make really bad decisions because their soul health was bad. And a lot of it was excused. This is just the way I am. No, you can change that. You can do work on that. Whether you choose to or not is a different thing, which is sometimes the case. Some people, even if they are made aware of their poor health decisions, physically, mentally, all that stuff, they're making bad decisions. They're just choosing to. And in situations like that, that's when you got to get into that spiritual health, to be honest, in my mind, because there's something there keeping you or affecting you to not make better decisions for yourself. That's a real thing. We can talk about that another time. But it really touches me because I know as Black men, we have so much potential and so much work to do. And for us to do that, we have to be in good health. We have to be good health all around, and particularly in our mental health. Because as I've mentioned before, what we think impacts what we believe, and that impacts how we behave. And so we got to do that work. We got to make sure that our health, our mental state, our mental is good, so that we can process things well, so that we can make better decisions, so that we can go out and believe things differently and behave differently, so that we can be beneficial for our community, and so that we can just be our best selves, you know?